going on, Jerome's? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day out there to those who celebrate. It's time for another Vikings news dump. He sees you when you're pooping. That's right. So the story of the day yesterday was the most obvious story of the Vikings offseason. Kevin O'Connell extended. Now it's reported as a blockbuster multi-year deal, but of course, generally are not privy to coaches' salary numbers. Likely it's going to be in the neighborhood of 15, 16 million plus per season. Worth it. It's so weird. You pay... Like, your teams pay like their wide receiver 2 as much as they do their head coach. It's kind of odd. Anyways, but yeah, Kevin O'Connell is in the building, and apparently per Ben Gessling from Vikes fan page, this is something that was finalized over the weekend, but then they chose to delay the announcement because there was things and things going on. J.J. McCarthy's birthday. Don't overshadow that. Right. And this is Mark Wilf talking about head coach Kevin O'Connell. Kevin is exactly who we believe him to be when we named him as our head coach, an innovative play caller, an excellent communicator, and a strong leader who motivates and connects with his players. He has helped establish a culture that positions us for sustained success, and he will continue to set the standard we need as we pursue a championship for Vikings fans. And that's exactly right. And now, time to get KOC a ring. Yes, he already has one with the Rams, but it's not the same. Also, we got like Black Josh Duhamel in the background, hired as quality control coach. I like that. I do like that. Also, we're going to get there. We're going to get there, bud. We have your genetic doppelganger, Kevin O'Connell, in power now. Actually, if Bud was 6'5", he probably would have made it with the Lakers. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But Kevin O'Connell, J.J. McCarthy long-term, it's going to feed families. It's going to put butts in seats, and it's going to make the Vikings Super Bowl contenders, Super Bowl champions year after year after year. So I do believe, like, even though sometimes there's frustration with the play calling, especially in the red zone, how come we're going shotgun and fourth and short? Yeah, as well as yet to win a playoff game, but don't worry, those are coming. Right? You trust the process, and it's not like the Vikings have been bereft of success through 3 seasons, winning 2/3 of their games in the regular season, a 13-win and a 14-win season, and O'Connell will get these things done. Plus, like we said, 10, 12, 15, 20 years, Kevin O'Connell, J.J. McCarthy, let's go, man. Speaking of the opposite of let's go, so Darnold, you could say that this game honestly cost Darnold tens of millions of dollars, and the Rams game certainly did not help either. But week 18 with everything on the line, yes, that's been the drawback. It's just like the whole pucker factor the last 2 games of this season, but it is what it is. But the Vikings on the road against the Lions, and the Lions defense banged up with injuries, and Sam Darnold just went out there and laid an egg. And it was O'Connell's fault too. It was the offensive line's fault as well. But overall, Darnold just was not good. 18 of 41 for $166, just missing all over the place. Accuracy was shoddy. I mean, Addison should have had 2 or 3 walk-in touchdowns. It was just bad. It was just real. Like the Rams game just became comical, with the 9 sacks. But the Lions game was almost tragic in that Darnold had been so accurate all season against good teams and good defenses, but this one. Sale. Dun, 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 dun. Sale. No. 55.5 quarterback rating, which is not good. You get 39.6 for throwing it straight into the ground. But here's the context. This is great. So Ben Baldwin put this together. A Detroit Lions PFF grade and efficiency by game allowed. So the opposing quarterbacks, and it's on the chart. So high is good for the quarterback. Low is good for the Lions defense. And zoom in and enhance. So the last part of the season, Sam Darnold's down there at the bottom, right? And again, the context is the Lions defense have been pretty good in the stretch where they beat the Jaguars, like 52-14 or something. They beat the Colts, and then they beat the Bears, and then they had a stretch of a fistful of games where they were averaging, giving up 30 points a game over the last 5 games before the Vikings game, right? So Jordan Love looked good. Josh Allen obviously looked good. Caleb Williams looked good in the rematch. And then Brock Purdy didn't do too bad. Pretty good. And then a complete fall off for Darnold. I mean, he's in the 8th and the 6th percentile respectively for PFF grade and efficiency, or percentile of EPA per play. It's no good. And then Daniel shoots back up. So, of the last 6 games with Darnold, one of these things is not like the other. That's what's frustrating, man. Because, of course, the first Lions game shoulda, woulda, coulda, but this one, I mean, if Darnold was accurate at all, the Vikings tear that ass up. But instead, they scored 9 points. They scored 9 points on a team that averaged 30 points a game over the previous 5, and then also let the Commies put up 40 in their home stadium. It's tough, man. It's tough. Try not to look back in anger, but it's hard because I'm very angry. Anyways, but in terms of landing spots for Brian Flores, Jets could be off the table. And by the time you're watching this, because we're recording this late on Tuesday night, by the time you're seeing this, the Jets job could have been going to Aaron Glenn. Josina Anderson, I'm told optimism is steadily growing that the visit with Lions DC Aaron Glenn and Commanders assistant GM Lance Newmark is trending positively per league sources. Moreover, the sentiment is that the Jets jobs aren't just pending; all contractual mesh points are getting certifiably agreed upon. So Jets looks like they have their guys. Plus, Aaron Glenn, like if you hear Aaron Glenn talk ball, like he is a true leader of men. Like he did it the right way. He paid his dues at every single step, and he's an old head. He was a great cornerback in the day. Like Aaron Glenn and Victor Green with the Jets. I mean, that was a good cornerback duo for Parcells and company. Plus, I don't know. I just like Aaron Glenn. I think that Glenn, even with the Jets. Yes, with the Jets, he's going to have way more success as a head coach than Ben Johnson will. I mean, that just sort of is what it is. But that means that the Jets job could be off the table. So that means that the 3 jobs that Brian Flores interviewed for, the Jets, the Jaguars, and the Bears, could be off the market because Bears job obviously went to Ben Johnson. Jets job could go to Aaron Glenn, and the Jaguars are down to a final 3, and Flores was not among them. So unless he gets in with the Raiders or some other team TBD, it does look like Flores is going to be back for a 3rd season as Vikings DC. Certainly all for that. Also, something I'm all for. Lions fans are so mad. Lions fans are so mad at Ben Johnson, right? Because, I mean, for the last 2 years, they have propped up Ben Johnson like he invented the forward pass. It's like, oh, look at him. He's Bill Walsh times Bill Walsh plus Bill Walsh plus the Shanahans plus Sean McVay. That's what he is. He invented football, right? But now he's literally Benedict Arnold because now they're saying, you know, what we said about Pat Shurmur and the 38-7 game. Oh, Shurmur had his eye on the Giants job. He wasn't really paying attention to blah, 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 blah. Which that could be true to a degree, right? But this is great. So this is from Corvette Butthedge, something to do with Barstool Detroit, which is on brand. But after seeing that Chicago meet and greet, circle jerk, team building, bull bleep 2.5 days after getting bounced in the playoffs, I do have to say Ben Johnson is officially a baby back biatch. A great offensive mind, but a huge biatch. A classless move when the bodies are still warm. And this is like temperate. This is moderate in terms of some of the Lions fans' reaction for Ben Johnson leaving, right? Because he was literally the chosen one, and now he's just the jabroni that's probably going to beat them twice a year. I mean, the Bears are going to go 2-15 every year, and both wins will be against the Lions. It's going to be great, right? And plus, it's just straight up going to expose like how reliant Dan Campbell was on his assistants, where Aaron Glenn gone, Ben Johnson's going to rub in your face twice a year. So go ahead. Like I don't think Ben Johnson's going to work out in Chicago just because it never will work out. Like I believe in Caleb Williams. You know, he's our guy as a quasi USC fan, and Ben Johnson is allegedly this genius, but it's the Bears. It's somehow not going to work out. The Lions are going to fail, even though they jacked up their ticket prices, and it's just going to be a really good time in the NFC North. By the Packers going to suck too. Vikings forever. That's all. Plus, what's amazing too is that Ryan Poles survived all of this. So the whole debacle of botched trades and draft picks. Hey, congratulations sending the number 32 overall pick to the Steelers for Chase Claypool. Awesome. The fact that he hired Eberflus, they held on to Eberflus way too long, and he still gets to pick the next guy. And he's probably going to get an extension out of this because you can't have a lame duck GM with your new head coach. Just funny, man. Just funny. But also shout out Kevin Warren, who's actually running this team. But this from around the NFL. Bears GM Ryan Poles, upon hiring Ben Johnson as new head coach, quote, "We are primed, equipped, and excited to welcome him and his family to Chicago and to commence our process of building a championship caliber team together. This is just the beginning." Slightly tamped down on the we're going to take the NFC North and never give it back. So he was thumping his chest when he had Eberflus, but now he's just very tepid, just like easing into this with Ben Johnson. It's kind of funny how that works. Yeah. Also, how this works. So Donovan McNabb played, like 3/4 of a season for the Vikings, 2011. Former Eagles Super Bowl participant quarterback. Then spent a year with Washington. Got a massive deal in Washington. Got cut. Came here. He's going to be the bridge quarterback. He was going to be the veteran Sam Darnold as the Vikings waited on Christian Ponder, the number 12 overall pick, to marinate the pride of Florida State. Senior Bowl MVP, take over. But didn't quite work out. 2011 was a disaster. All the way around, and Christian Ponder didn't work out. McNabb didn't work out either. Right, it wasn't good. But long story longer, if you want to feel old. So Donovan McNabb Jr., who's a 3-star receiver from Arizona, after a great conversation with the staff at Go for Football, I'm blessed to say I've received an offer from the University of Minnesota. AGTG? I don't know. Row the boat. But this is when you start feeling old. Like, Chad Pennington's kid playing college football. Now you got McNabb Jr.'s kid out here. Going to be a solid wide receiver. I mean, hell, even like Marvin Harrison Jr. rising on up. Yeah. Plus, I started to feel old when there was a lot of players named Shaq coming into the NFL. And then now you had a wave of Kobe's coming in. And you're probably going to have a couple of LeBrons or Browns coming on in. Nah. Like, where are the Anthonys? Where are the Anthony Edwards that are going to be coming up? They're probably coming soon, right? But I don't know. Hopefully McNabb's kid signed with the Gophers. McNabb still lives in like the Western Burbs, I believe, because people don't always see him at like the Lifetime Chanhassen playing in the pickup games. It's kind of funny. But yeah, bring McNabb. Why not? And even though it didn't work out with the Vikings, he's still funny. He's still funny, man. Lastly, so I don't know if we covered this. So after the Vikings fell, allegedly, to the Lions at Week 18, their 2025 opponents were set. Right, so I actually don't think we covered this. But the Vikings this next season, 2025, they play the NFC East as well as the AFC North in the division rotation. And by finishing second in the NFC North, their final 3 opponents are determined. So also, this is what they say, well, that team played a first-place schedule. They played a fourth-place schedule. It's only a difference of 3 games. Otherwise, you play 14 out of 17 games the same as your division. It's kind of funny. But in division, of course, Lions, Packers, Bears, oh my, whatever. NFC East, you got the Eagles and the Commies at home. It's going to be awesome, man. Like Saquon and Jaden Daniels, coming into historic U.S. Bank Stadium. The alleged NFC Championship game participants from the year before. Bring it. On the road, JEROME World, as well as return to play the Giants again. Maybe we'll see Sam Darnold. Don't know. And then rotation with the AFC North. We got the Browns coming in as well as the Steelers. Kind of like that. I like the old school franchises coming on into USB because we generally don't see them often. Then on the road against the Bengals. Last time the Vikings played the Bengals, that was the Brandon Powell tush-push game. Great. Awesome. And then at M&T Bank Stadium with the Ravens. I always like the Ravens. They never show up in the playoffs, but, And then because of the second-place schedule, in the rotation, the Vikings are indeed playing the Atlanta Falcons. Probably not going to be Kirk Cousins, but we get to welcome in Michael Penix Jr. into U.S. Bank Stadium. And again, this is another one of those stupid schedule quirks because the Vikings played the Falcons at USB this year, and then for the 17,000th season in the row, the Vikings are on the road against the Seahawks. That's what happens. Seattle finishing second in the NFC West. And then the rotation on the other side in the AFC, Vikings at the Chargers again, like they did a handful of years ago. I think that was the first year that it went to 17 games. The Vikings played the Chargers. Or was that home? It doesn't really matter. But, yeah, the Vikings in the rotation, 8 home games next year, 9 on the road. But all I see, 17-0. Just slightly improving on the 14-3 season. So, but that's it. A Vikings news dump on this beautiful, wonderful Wednesday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.